You've been through a lot throughout your career. You had a lot of trials and tribulations. So, how are you staying motivated for your next opportunity?
It's a game of baseball, so you get a lot of opportunities, and so you just try to go day by day. You don't try to get too high, you don't try to get too low. You just go on with the day.
And how was your experience getting to the big leagues and getting around those guys and seeing how they do everything? How was the experience that you had up there?
Yeah, it was really good. I would say when I was up there for a little bit last year, Josh Bell was one of the guys who kind of he would always take care of us, some of the guys in the locker room, and it just meant a lot to us because it just showed us how it's supposed to be done.
The road to the big leagues comes with ups and downs. Today, I had the pleasure to sit down with Nationals prospect Trey Lipscomb on his journey through the major leagues. Cameron Bryce sitting here with Nationals prospect Trey Lipscomb. Trey, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
And before we get into everything, Trey, can you talk about your journey to professional baseball? Where you grew up from and what college you went to?
Yeah. So I guess when I first started playing baseball, I was in McDonough, Georgia, down there in Georgia. Played some travel ball down there, and then I made my way up to Maryland, where I graduated high school. And then I ended up at Tennessee, where I did 4 years, from 18 to 22.
And I grew up in Baltimore, so it was kind of a different breed of baseball other than Maryland. But how was it in Frederick, Maryland, like the baseball-wise, the community?
It was good. There was a couple private schools up there, so we always got to play them during the preseason. And then we always made a good run for it in the playoffs. So I still got a younger brother in high school. They're actually going to play the state championship game. I think it's supposed to be today, but they postponed it. So I don't know when the date is, but he's in the state championship game in Urbana High School.
And you talked about your time at Tennessee. I know a lot of people in Knoxville. How was that community, and how did they embrace you when you came there?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest reasons why I picked Tennessee, because it felt like home. When I went there for a visit, obviously you want to go to a school where baseball is going to be good, but also you want to go to a place that feels like home, and Tennessee was a place for me.
Yeah, and obviously you were one of the top prospects. You're one of the best baseball players in college, and you've been through a lot throughout your career. You had a lot of trials and tribulations. So how are you staying motivated for your next opportunity?
It's a game of baseball, so you get a lot of opportunities, and so you just try to go day by day. You don't try to get too high, you don't try to get too low. You just go on with the day.
And how was your experience getting to the big leagues and getting around those guys and seeing how they do everything? How was the experience that you had up there?
Yeah, it was really good. I would say when I was up there for a little bit last year, Josh Bell was one of the guys who kind of he would always take care of us, some of the guys in the locker room, and it just meant a lot to us because it just showed us how it's supposed to be done.
And throughout every single year, we see the rise in African Americans in baseball. So what does that mean for you for this year in 2026? It's been bigger than ever before, and there's so many prospects and so many players. What does that mean to you?
It's just cool to see that. Obviously it wasn't like that a while ago, but nowadays you got guys going out there hosting a lot of camps during the off season, and getting those guys out and playing baseball is the biggest thing for them. Because I feel like the more you're around it, the more success you're going to have, and I feel like the guys who are, like I said, holding those camps during the off season and just bringing awareness to the game where it's not really you're able to see it is big for the community.
And how do you think for kids growing up, a lot of kids don't get the opportunities and they don't get to go to certain camps because the demographic or where they at? What would you say to a kid that's working hard every day but doesn't have the opportunity, doesn't have the scholarship, but has the talent?
Yeah, I would say, just as my dad would say growing up, just working hard is going to get you a lot of places, and then when the opportunity comes, you just go out there and be yourself. So I feel like just have that mentality of, this opportunity is going to be the next one, and just run with it.
And then for my final question, this is a fun question. So ask Henry this question. So build your baseball Mount Rushmore. It could be your favorite players. It could be guys you grew up watching. Tell me 4 guys that basically impacted your whole life.
Barry Bonds. Who doesn't like watching Barry Bonds hit some homers? So he'd be up there. And I'm an infield guy, so I got to go with maybe Andrelton Simmons. He's a name that I like watching in the infield. He's smooth as can be. When I was growing up in Georgia, Jason Hayward made his debut in Atlanta. I love watching him in his career. And then for the last guy, Mount Rushmore, CC Sabathia. He's what he did for the game and what he was able to do to go out there, and it was just cool to watch him go out there and ball.
But that's all the questions I have for today. Thank you, Trey.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, bro. Of course.